Welcome to another edition of Believers Talk with Steve and Joe.
I'm Steve.
I'm Joe. So we're happy to be here. So let's get right into it. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel for continuing Bills content and news around the league. That's what we'll give you every week. And we're going to start today with the news around the league. So first thing we're going to start with is last week we talked a little bit about Vontae Davis and him being able to visit with other teams, the Bills being the first of those. But he did visit other teams. So
yeah, after Buffalo, he went to Cleveland.
Okay.
Went to San Fran and Oakland, and he was supposed to go home and weigh his options. Well, he ended up taking another visit to Miami, which he originally got drafted by Miami.
Right.
So a little different there, but different coaching staff. So I guess that makes sense, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. As we were going throughout the week, I was watching some other channels talk about why the Bills didn't sign him immediately, and I think that's more from Vontae Davis' side of things, right? Like, there's no reason to sign immediately. I'm sure if the Bills could have, they would have, but why not look at the market when you're the only one who can?
You might as well gauge your value and see what's out there. In worst case, he still has another couple weeks before any other free agent can sign.
Yeah. So might as well just weigh your options, and if a team's willing to look at you on your way home, why not give it a look, right? So Vontae Davis news is kind of silent at this point, but we'll see what happens from here on out. Next, we'll go down to Jarvis Landry, signed the was franchise tagged by the Dolphins. So I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, he's looking at roughly $16 million. It's kind of odd. I shouldn't say it's odd. They franchise tagged him very early, the first day.
Yeah.
So to me, it looks like they're going to try to trade him.
Okay.
I think that's the likely scenario. Maybe he does sign it and he stays there, but it looks like they're going to trade him. I know they were trying to work out a deal before and they weren't close to the numbers that he wanted. So he's a heck of a receiver, but he wants to be paid top 5. Do I think he's a top 5 receiver? No.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Even $16 million is a little high, I think, for him. So.
Yeah, he did. I guess he is the fastest to 400 receptions or something like that in his career, right? Like, he has 400 receptions in his first 4 years, and he's the first player to ever do that. So good for him. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't see him as a top 5 guy. You think about Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, people like that. Like, those are I mean, if I had to make a list, maybe he'd make top 5, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can see them trading him. If he was going to be a free agent, I think he would have got a nice contract. And one of the teams that I think that would have been interested in him would have been New England. So I'm happy. I'd rather see him in Miami than New England. Another possibility is Chicago. Yeah. Maybe Carolina makes a trade for him or something like that. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the next few weeks. Like I said, they always can pull the tag off of them too if they can't get a trade. So
yeah, we talked about the Josh Norman situation. This kind of same thing. He got tagged. They pulled it, traded him. So we'll see what happens there. But the biggest news I think of the week was probably the Chiefs trading Peters to the Rams. To the Rams. Now it's not official until the league starts, which is March 14th. So it's not official. But what a big move, right?
Yeah. He has a small contract. He has 2 years left on his deal. So. I think with him getting traded to LA, I think they only have to pay him like $1.5 million this year, $1.7 million, something like that. Okay. So that's not much. And the following year, it's somewhere in the $3 million range or something like that. Like his contract for the next couple of years is manageable for that team. Right. But they're going to have to pay him after that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think Kansas City was willing to pay him after everything last year. All the
trouble got into, throwing flags into the stands, things like that, right? Yeah.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Marshawn as his character.
Character-wise.
He's a little different, but he's a heck of a player.
Yeah, absolutely. His numbers, actually, when you look at his numbers, they did digress in his 3rd year, but they're still really good.
Yeah.
I think he has 16 interceptions overall for his career already, or something like that. Like, it's insane. It's a really good career so far.
I've heard that too. When he left Washington, nobody was, sad about him leaving Washington. They were all ready for him to move on, get out of college, and go. So he kind of wore out his welcome in Kansas City, and I think that's why they traded him. And when people see what they get for him, a lot of people are saying, well, they have to get a 1st-round pick for him because he's such a good player. I don't think they get a 1st-round pick.
Right.
I think they get a 3, or maybe they do a 2 next year or something. it'll be a combination, but it's not going to be a first round pick for Marcus Peters.
Right. Yeah. The Rams can't give a second because we have their second, so they don't have a second round pick. But other than that, yeah, I don't know what. I think he's better than a third, but I agree with you. He's not worth a first. I do believe there would be a second, but we'll see. I mean,
he's a heck of a player. Yeah. I just feel that Zach can wear thin at places.
With the character issues, I mean, the Chiefs suspended him for a game last year. You know, so he might not be worth as much as people are saying, and I don't disagree with that.
The other thing too is now with this trade, and with Vontae Davis still out there, this could open up room for E.J. Gaines to come back to Buffalo. So this is like some stuff that kind of has to figure out.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of trades and kind of figuring some stuff out. Trying to think of another corner that just signed, but.
Well, now that with this trade, it looks like Tremaine Johnson will not be signed. He won't.
Another free agent, so that'll bump E.J. Gaines down a little bit. Yeah. And I did see a report that E.J. Gaines from the Buffalo could get like around a $6 million contract, which I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's good.
That could really help.
Yeah. Makes you wonder about some other defensive players on our side that we talked about last episode, but we won't get into that too much. And then the other news of the week, yesterday, the compensatory picks were announced. The Bills didn't get any, which is not a huge surprise at all. We weren't expecting anything, but I think there were a few teams that got 4 picks. Arizona, I think, got one. Dallas got 4 picks. So there's a couple teams that really benefited from compensatory picks this year, but we just weren't one of them. So I believe in our free agent video before, we did talk about compensatory picks, how you get them, things like that. So if you're interested, check that out. Or if you have any questions, obviously you can comment to us and we'll happily answer them for you about compensatory picks, how they work, and why some teams get so many. There are 32 overall given out throughout a year, but why they go the way they do. It's a whole bunch of
it's a formula. It's basically how many free agents you sign to how many you lose, and how those free agents perform and their contracts.
Right. So it's a whole formula. Yeah. So it's hard to get into, but if you have any questions, we'll try and answer the best we can. Leave a comment below. But yeah, on to big news for us in the week. The Bills. Ian Rappaport of NFL.com reported that it looks like the Bills will be giving Tyrod Taylor the contract bonus.
The $6
million bonus. So as some people who do not like Tyrod Taylor at all, they are not happy to hear that. But what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if you look at a roster right now, we have 2 quarterbacks. It would be Nathan Peterman, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Webb. If you want to throw that in there, he's a free agent / receiver, special teams guy. So my thinking of this whole situation is, they do not want to leave themselves without a quarterback. So you look down through the free agents and you're trying to figure out who are they going to bring in. Yeah. So you have Derek Anderson, Matt Moore, T.J. Yates, Tom Savage, Scott Tolzien, Chad Henne, Ryan Nassib, Kellen Clemens. I mean, there's a list of a bunch of average guys. You have Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, Chase Daniel. Drew Brees, technically a free agent, but he's going to sign back.
There's reports that they're already close to contract anyway, so he's going to sign.
So the whole thinking of them trying to take his $6 million signing bonus and giving that to him, it would cost you $8 million if you wanted to trade him afterwards. And they're just trying to hold themselves that they would have a quarterback. So I can see them doing it.
Right.
Do I like it? No. But
it's better than no other option. Like, you have no other term. You have a bunch of, like Steve just said, you have a bunch of journeymen in the free agent class who aren't going to be starting quarterbacks wherever they go. So either you're talking about us trading up in the draft to get that guy, whether it be Josh Rosen or Mayfield or the other names out there. And do you trust, then you have a rookie and Nathan Peterman, and those are your 1-2 guys. Like, then you would want to get someone like anybody there to kind of show them. But
and they get into kind of a situation here at quarterback. I believe that I'm so tired of having these middle of the road guys. That if the report has come out, Josh Rosen is the apple of their eye, and that's who they want. If that's him, if that's who Buffalo wants, go get him. I hate trading first round picks and your future picks and stuff like that. But I'm so tired of just sitting back for the middle of the road quarterback. You know, in the 2004 draft, we traded back in the first round to get J.P. Lawson, and after we could not trade up to get Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
J.P. Lawson, I didn't like him when we picked him,
and
gave him a shot.
Yep.
Still
didn't work out.
Yeah.
Didn't work out at all.
So,
No,
you know what? If Ben was their guy in that draft, they should have traded up and get him.
Yeah.
And it shows in the long run. If
Absolutely.
you don't get the guy who you believe is it,
Absolutely.
it's a waste. I mean, you can draft a middle line guy, but just go get the guy you want. And that's why I believe they should do it. I think that's why they're holding on to Tyrod and they're trying to make a move. The other thing I see with Tyrod, and I thought this the past couple of weeks, is I can see them trading him.
Yeah.
Everything starts at the combine. You have all 32 teams there, all the agents, and I can see them trying to deal him either to Cleveland or Arizona, maybe Denver.
Okay.
Denver has that number 5 pick.
Yeah.
Can they package him to move up to the number 5?
Yeah.
And if they eat that $8 million of signing bonus money, they can trade him because it's a $10 million cap hit for the next team.
Right.
All they're paying is a $10 million.
Right.
And for a starting quarterback, that's very
really
cheap. And any of these guys in here, you're looking at, you're at least going to pay $7-8 million for a decent starter.
And again, we'd still be saving $10 million in our salary cap, so it still works out in the long run.
With that 10, sorry, but with that $10 million, you can draft a quarterback.
That's what I was just gonna say.
And you can sign a free agent.
Right.
And you'll be at that $10 million, so you'll basically be using that $18 million, but you have 2 extra quarterbacks that you would prefer over Tyrod Taylor.
Right. Yeah. If I recall correctly, I don't have the math in front of me, but I think with the draft picks we have right now, that would be like $8 million total if we signed all of our draft picks, right? Somewhere around there. So that's already less than, that's every single draft pick, and that's less. Now, if we trade up, obviously that number changes a little bit for a top 5 guy compared to a 21, 22 guy. But we'll see.
I'm trying to think of what Carson Wentz's numbers were his first 2 years. I know this upcoming year it's like 7.3 million.
Right.
So, if we're, depending on how far we would trade up, you're looking at probably 5 to 7 million. And if we would stay put at 21, 22, you're looking at close to 5 million for those two.
Yeah, those 2 picks. Right.
So it could equal out.
It could. Yeah, it would be very interesting. The Bills have a lot of options, I think, coming into the draft, and I think we'll be more clear on that shortly after the combine. Like you said, all these teams, all these agents are there at the combine, so a lot of things might get figured out, and that's just next week. So we'll see what happens. Next week's episode, stay tuned. Don't get a lot of news.
Well, a lot of good news. And you think of the teams ahead of us, or in the top 5, they need offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Corey Glenn's a big trade chip. A lot of people say Sean McCoy, he's not going anywhere. So just forget about that. But they have the ammunition to move up and get their quarterback. And I think it's at the point now, do it.
Yeah.
Don't wait, because if you're going to keep waiting, you're going to get these mediocre years. Now, this year was a benefit. We made the playoffs, huge year for us. But if we want to keep progressing, we need to get that quarterback.
Yeah. It's funny how fast reports spread about McCoy or Corey Glenn or any of them. So I thought back to when Washington traded early to get up to the 2nd pick to get RG3.
Yeah.
That wasn't done until after the combine. And so I feel like, first of all, I don't think there's going to be a trade that happens before the combine, normally in a normal situation. Secondly, sometimes teams like Ian Rappaport and others from the NFL News and ESPN and all of them, they're just announcing what they hear out of Buffalo camp, right?
Yeah.
And it's not out of the realm of possibility, and it's happened before, where a team's going to tell you what they want you to report. So that way, maybe something else happens down the line where they're not even thinking about this idea at all of trading McCoy. They're not thinking about that at all. But if you put it out there that they are, maybe teams will start lowering expectations for Nick Foles or something like that. We probably won't get, but I'm just using that name out there.
With Nick Foles, I think it would be dumb for the Eagles to get rid of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think with Carson Wentz's injury, they have to have a backup plan. I mean, they had it this year in Nick Foles.
Yep.
They're still paying, those 2 quarterbacks combined, they're paying $14.9 million next year for. That's awesome. I mean, we're paying Tyrod Taylor $18 million.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at what those 2 quarterbacks make compared to, or 1 quarterback, it's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
And the quality of those quarterbacks compared to Tyrod.
Right. Now, the Eagles situation is going to be very interesting now. Frank Reich gone, new offensive coordinator coming in. be very interesting to see what they do there. So we'll see. Yeah, moving to our quarterback position, talk more about that. I was looking up last year's stats, and first of all, our offense was atrocious last year. Hopefully, this video is a little bit better than our offense was last year. Hopefully, you guys like our video.
Our offense was with Sean McCoy.
Yeah. We were the only team in the NFL to not have a play longer than 50 yards.
Wow.
And our longest play was a 48-yard run in the Oakland game by LaShawn McCoy. Tyrod Taylor's longest touchdown pass this season was 27 yards.
Okay.
Way to go, 27-yarders. He did that twice with O'Leary in the Dolphins game.
Okay.
And to Thompson in the Jets game and junk time in the fourth quarter when we were getting killed on Thursday night. And I'm not blaming that all on Tyrod. Play calling goes into that. The receiving core goes into that. When you have a guy like Julio Jones, it's a little bit easier to get 50-yard play. But Deshaun Kaiser threw for a 50-yard pass this year, so so I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. Tyrod, I agree with you. If we don't have Tyrod, what are we saying we have at this point? Like Nathan Peterman, who might be a decent quarterback, but again, decent quarterback. Like he's not. And I'm not just looking at the Chargers game. Like, he has done nothing to impress us. I mean, even in the snow game, Webb threw better passes than he did.
Well, I did like Peterman the first half of the snow game. I thought he played decent.
He did.
I really did I thought he was extending up because the LA Chargers game was so awful for him.
Yeah.
And I thought it was such a big deal that he actually started to play a little better. It was hard to tell because it was in the snow.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little harder.
Makes conditions a lot harder. That touchdown pass to Benjamin, that was a really nice pass. So that was But he's not ready to be the starter full time, especially not unless you have a backup like maybe Hoyer in New England, someone who has been through a lot, who can teach him. But I don't know. And then we have Joe Webb, who is a free agent, who I think we both said we want to keep.
Yeah. For special teams and a receiver, but mostly special teams.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see him really in a quarterback room. Mm-hmm. The nice thing with him is you have somebody who has played quarterback that can come in a pinch like this year that we needed in the Indy game.
Yeah.
There was a couple weeks during the season he was playing or practicing with the quarterbacks, and he was only active for a quarterback one game.
And he came in almost like a semi-wildcat package every once in a while. And that's good because he was a spark in those packages. So it's good to have. That's a look at our quarterback position. And going into this year, I know a lot of people are not happy that Tyrod Taylor might be our starter. Yeah. But Tyrod Taylor might be our starter. So
we got to brace yourself for it. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, I'll tell you this about the guy. He is a crazy good athlete.
He is.
He's just ridiculous. He's probably one of the top athletes in the NFL, and that's hard to say because you look at 300-pound linemen and the way they run and move and stuff like that. But he is a crazy good athlete.
Yep.
He has a heck of an arm.
Yep.
My problem with him, though, is he doesn't have the timing. He doesn't have the anticipation to make the throws. His accuracy's off. Mm-hmm. He can put the ball deep, but we don't really have a speed guy. When we had Sammy, he saw what that could be with Sammy, but there was never any timing or anything. Right. It was just him run around and throw deep. He never really connected with anybody other than Charles Clay and Sammy.
I mean, last year you looked at his numbers. He actually did have a 76-yard touchdown to Sammy Watkins last year. So it's not like he can't throw the ball 50 yards.
He can sling it. He just could be some of the play calling. Could be some of this that he's always on a one-year deal. Yeah. So he's trying to preserve his numbers. And what bugs me a little bit is sometimes he'll get these plays and he'll run around and he'll take like a 2-yard loss or something, which comes up as a sack. Yeah. Just throw it away.
Throw it away. Yep.
Well, then his completion numbers are down, and everybody always says, well, he has good completion, he doesn't turn the ball over. Yes, but when you watch the film, he does not thread the ball in. Nope. He doesn't make any of those plays where it's like a wow factor. Yeah. And he misses a lot of layup plays. Yeah. We talked earlier about the New England play. Yeah. At McCoy's feet. Yep. That was on second down. Third down, they missed another player. They ran it and got stuffed short. Yeah. Well, at that point, it was a tie game. Yeah. We ended up punting the ball away. They came back, scored, and the rest is kind of history.
Teams like New England, and there's others, but teams like New England, you can't play punt to punt. Like they're going to score, and it's little things like that.
It's just missing those plays that don't look big, but at the moment, you know, they really are big because they turn out. You look back at the game and there's 5 or 6 plays like that. That's why you lost the game.
Yeah, it's actually funny, even talking about his anticipation. I was watching film on him, and I was watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. First of all, what a great game if you're a Bills fan. Like, back and forth, it was so much fun. But there was a touchdown pass that he threw to Logan Thomas. Third quarter, I think about 11, 13 minutes to go, something like that. Okay? And it was a touchdown pass. But just watching the play progress, he even missed the timing there, but no one thought about it because, you know, it was touchdown, so it was good. Like, Logan Thomas got open at like the 20-yard line. He didn't throw it to him until and he didn't start his throw until he was at the 16, and that's a big difference. You know, a good quarterback can see him breaking on the 20, throw it right up, and he's just there.
Well, and the thing I love too is now everybody has their own opinion, but Tony Romo in the booth is awesome.
Yes.
And I love when he's doing the Bills games because he's like, all right, Tyrod, just throw the ball.
Yeah.
Just throw it.
Right,
he sees them open. He's like, come on, Tyrod, just throw the ball.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you. Now, he's sitting up in a booth and he sees something different, but it goes to show you how quarterbacks think in the league. Like, they want to get the ball out of their hands. Tyrod, I feel like he wants to keep it in his hands and kind of make a wow factor play, which it doesn't always work out that way. You have to take what you're given, and you know, the timing. It's in that offense, which let's go back to this offense too, because everybody blames Rick Dennison. He didn't fit into what Tyrod. He was in Houston with Gary Kubiak. Okay. He went to Baltimore with Gary Kubiak when Gary Kubiak was the offensive coordinator there.
Who
was their backup quarterback?
Tyrod Taylor.
He knew the system. So then he went to Denver with Kubiak when he became the head coach. Who did Denver want as their quarterback?
I don't remember.
Tyrod Taylor. He signed with Buffalo because he was guaranteed a starting job. If he would have signed with Denver, he would have been a backup to Peyton Manning, and that was his last year where Peyton Manning kind of just fell off. They went to the Super Bowl and won, but
defense.
He had his shot to sign there. So when they brought in Rick Dennison, everybody at that time was like, "Wow, this is great. You know, he fits our offense." It's gonna work. And then all of a sudden, when it's not working, well, you know, he didn't change the offense to fit Tyrod Taylor. Or did Tyrod Taylor not
fit his offense?
Like it's just the point of Tyrod was in that situation. He was in that offensive system. For basically his whole career, except for 2 years in Buffalo. So, and I think he's 6 years into the league now. So it just goes to show he was in the system, and it hasn't worked this year. It is time to move on, but I can see them keeping him just in case.
And to Tyrod's defense, and I try not to do this too often, but in Tyrod's defense, you know, he hasn't had the same offensive coordinator throughout pretty much his whole career, except for Dennison when he was a backup. He's not getting in that much. And I'm guessing that the Ravens' offensive play calling was a little bit different with Joe Flacco at the helm than Tyrod Taylor. You know, even if the packages might be the same, the play calling is definitely different, more lean to Joe Flacco's strengths than Tyrod's. So yeah, I mean, to have that continuity between a quarterback and we even saw it this year in Pittsburgh. That's a great example with who was that, Haley, right? Haley and Ben. Look how great they did, and yet still Haley got fired because there wasn't that continuity between them two. So, and in that situation, Ben won because he's Ben, right? And I think if that situation were here, I think Tyrod would be the one to lose that one. Actually, I think our offensive coordinator might win that.
I mean, I can see Tyrod staying too because we got Duval coming in. College guy, and he did a little bit of magic with Jalen Hurts. So maybe they keep him Tyrod and they run that read option because that's where he excels. But the problem is when you run that read option, he's going to take hits. And do you really want that? And I think too, also last year, McDermott kind of felt like, okay, if I build my defense, maybe we can win with a subpar quarterback, because I saw reports of that. And he did build his defense, and he's still got to build his defense, so maybe this year they want to stay with him. But I think Bean is coming in and he's saying, okay, we need a quarterback. We got to go.
We got to get a quarterback.
That's why I believe they're trading up. Whether it's Rosen, I think they can like Mayfield. I really do. And he scares me a little bit, but he can throw from the pocket. He's just shorter. And everybody says, you know,
his off-the-field stuff too.
But I believe he has the it factor. And everybody says it factor. What's it factor? The guy wins. He's competitive. He'll do whatever it takes. Everybody likes him. That's just the it factor. Like, the players rally around him. So I think that could be a possibility.
Yeah. People, I mean, Oklahoma, the players loved him.
Yeah.
You know, he was huge in Oklahoma, and I don't even have an issue. I think it was the Kansas game where he like grabbed his crotch on the sideline, stuff like that. Well, Kansas was kind of being rude to him too, like going back and forth, right? I don't mind that, but when I think about like the video of him running from a police officer, that doesn't look good.
No.
So there does come character issues, and which we'll see in our draft, our mock drafts, but I think that might drop Mayfield in the draft a little bit. So,
but I think that's an option. But my whole thing is, I'll say it now, I'll go on the record. They're trading up, they're getting a quarterback. I can't tell you what exact quarterback it is going to be. But it's going to be one of the top quarterbacks, and it's going to be their number one quarterback because they're not going to go up an arm and a leg to go get somebody that's just
on the bench.
And I believe they sign a veteran quarterback, maybe Bradford. I don't like Bradford, but if they get Rosen, I can see Bradford coming in because they're very similar pocket passing quarterbacks. Could help him out. As long as Bradford's on the sideline, I'm happy because when he's playing, he's injured. So,
And that's the thing about these backups. You don't necessarily have to like the way they play, but they've been in the league. They've read the play charts. They know how to read defenses, things like that, things that you can teach a young quarterback along the way. Yeah, we don't want to see Sam Bradford or Mark Sanchez or any of them start a game. But if he's back there teaching these young kid the NFL, the ropes, not to, run into an offensive lineman and fumble the ball, stuff like that, like that would be good to have.
The good thing is if you trade up so far to get Rosen or any other quarterback, Bradford was a number one pick.
Yes.
So he's been through all the highs and lows. He's been on bad teams. He's been on good teams. So it makes sense. I mean, there's other quarterbacks. You just have to see who fits. Maybe Matt Moore. I like Matt Moore as a backup. He has some
serviceable.
Knowledge, and especially with Duval. So we'll see what happens. But
he was there when Duval was in Miami. So that would be a good fit actually. So moving on, I mean, we could spend a whole hour plus talking about the quarterback situation in Buffalo, if not longer. So moving on, we'll talk about, I don't know, you want to go fullback next?
We'll go fullback and running back because really we have Patrick DeMarco, who's our fullback.
Patrick DeMarco's our fullback.
And then you have Tolbert, who was a fullback / running back, which is a free agent, which sayonara, see ya.
Right, I mean, we talked about that in a previous episode where seeing him leave is... we're okay with seeing him leave. The only thing that we might see happening is with McDermott and Bean there, Carolina ties. Like you said, McDermott and Tolbert are good friends. Maybe they sign him. I just... I don't want to see it. There's no need for it.
Running back core gets a makeover this year.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I mean, we also saw reports of McCoy wanting somebody else there who can kind of take a load off him because he is hitting that 30 number. So again, we'll see about that. But
we have McCoy. Obviously, everybody knows McCoy for another 2 years. So get another guy in there with him. Marcus Murray. He came in last year at the end of the year and played decent. They still have him under contract. He's a guy who could maybe be the third running back. I don't see him being the backup. I'm trying to think who else. You have Travaris Cadet, which is injured, free agent. Not sure. He's 30 years old too, so not sure exactly how that play. I think they do try to get younger at that position because if you do have McCoy for another year or two, you want to kind of groom somebody behind him. And I think we look to the draft in that scenario with a guy who I know. And I think he's underrated, Sony Michel out of Georgia. He'd be an awesome pick if we can get him, but we'll see what happens there. There's Kellen Ballage. I like him. There's Rashad. I'm trying to think of his last name here. I have him marked down from Rashad Penny from San Diego State.
He had a great Senior Bowl. Great Senior Bowl.
Check him out. If you can check him out, he's a heck of a player. Set some records there, did some stuff. So I really like him as a later round pick that I think we can get.
The running backs in this draft are really deep. Like goes really deep. You can even look at like I'm trying to think of a later guy, Josh Adams from Notre Dame, right? Like he played decent at Notre Dame at times, and he wouldn't be bad as like that third down back behind McCoy, and maybe learn some things from him. But I think the running back, and I don't disagree that we go there at some point in the draft, maybe day 3, get a running back there.
I mean we have Aaron Green who we signed last year at the end of the year too, but like you said, it's all basically no-namers. I shouldn't say that because they're in the league for a reason. But it's guys who've bounced around a little bit,
Yeah.
other than McCoy. DeMarco obviously going to be a starting fullback. And
Right.
he played good for us this year.
Yeah,
except
basically.
for the Chargers game where he did the old volleyball set. Doesn't make sense, but
Yeah, and I think you and I both agree on this. That really set Peterman back. You know,
Yeah.
like your first start as an NFL starter, your second or third pass into the game, you have this guy just bop it up in the air and give it right to the defense.
pick six.
Pick six. It's just terrible for your confidence. But yeah, like you said, Mike Tolbert was pretty much a running back more this year than he was a fullback half the time. So DeMarco was our starter at fullback most of the time this year, and he did play well for us. So there's no need really to get a backup. Maybe get a bulkier, if you get rid of Tolbert, get a bulkier, bigger running back who can play the fullback position.
Well, Doug Martin got released,
Yep.
so that's a possibility. I would like to see that happen. We'll see if he has anything left.
Sure.
He past couple years he hasn't done much, but he's had some problems. So maybe they'll go that route. Maybe not. Chris Ivory just got released. He's a little older.
Yeah.
The guy who I really like at the free agent crop this year, as far as running back, is that McKinnon from Minnesota. Jared McKinnon. Really good, but he wants to go somewhere where he's the #1 guy.
Yeah, and he's not going to be that boy, right?
It would be nice to sign him for a year behind McCoy because they're very similar players.
Yeah.
So that could possibly be a possibility, but I think you have to pay him a little more for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we'll get younger in the draft, develop a guy behind McCoy.
Yeah, and again, with all of our holes other places, we'll probably go there for free agency for a couple of them.
Yeah.
And so we won't go I don't think we'll go the running back route. And again, the cupboard with the running backs as far as free agency goes is not the greatest.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the best. I mean, Deion Lewis, I believe, is the best one out there.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't get him. I mean, there's no reason to get him, I don't think, but we'll see. So moving on, we'll go out to our wide receiving core.
Yeah.
Or actually, let's do our tight ends and the
Okay.
receivers, and then go to offensive line. So we'll go to our tight ends. Charles Clay. Charles Clay, a lot of people don't like him, and I don't disagree necessarily, but his contract is fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, so.
See, I like Charles Clay.
Mm-hmm.
He does have some drops, which annoy me at times.
Yeah.
But he's so athletic, and he's such a mismatch.
Yeah.
If he could just stay healthy, which that's his problem.
That's his biggest problem. Yeah.
I really like Charles Clay. I don't like his contract.
Right. I think the number makes it worse than
But I do like Charles Clay.
Yeah. The next guy, I really actually like Nick O'Leary. Again, the Jets game bugged me a lot, and I couldn't get over that for a long time. Still bugs me. But Nick O'Leary, I think, is really good backup tight end too.
Yeah. And I can see him kind of taking over for Clay too.
Yeah.
So I like O'Leary. I think he comes back because he is a restricted free agent. I think they tenure him. He comes back, and maybe they work out a long-term deal, or maybe it's put off to next season when they have more cap space and they can work out a long-term deal.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be there for
a little bit. And a guy I talked about a little bit earlier, who I do like, is Logan Thomas. I do like him a little bit as well. And he was like our third tight end. Sometimes came in when Clay got hurt. I talked about the Buccaneers game. He had that big touchdown. I like him. I don't see him as a starting tight end anywhere, but he's serviceable.
Yeah, he's a more of a role player.
Yeah.
He's athletic. He came in as a quarterback, so he knows how to read coverages.
Right.
He got to develop. He was with the Giants on their practice squad. We took him off their practice squad. He played last year for us, and he has a year under his belt now playing tight end. See what he can do this upcoming year, and I think he sticks around too.
Absolutely.
For me, the tight end position is kind of where it's at. It's going to be. I don't think they make too much moves with that, other than signing their guys back.
Yeah. I think the tight end position is probably one of our safest, strongest positions that we don't need to do anything with. So we're set there. Again, a lot of people don't like Clay, but unfortunately, when we signed him, and whether you like his playing style or not, which we can talk about that too, all the money is fully guaranteed. There's no good solutions for getting rid of him. Like, there's nothing good to come out of it for us.
I mean, you can push some of that into next year if you do a post-June 1st cut. But then you're getting into these bad contracts and you're just prolonging them and pushing them out.
Yeah.
What Bean's trying to do now is get his cap numbers under control, get rid of the dead money, and not have to worry about all that later on. Because the less dead money you have, the more you can pay players to stay. And the better free agents you can sign, and you don't have to worry about going over the cap all the time. Like, you know what you're coming into the next year.
Right, yeah. And we talk about this at length about how Whaley kind of puts behind the ball on those. Yeah. And so this season especially, it's going to look tight. But in the future seasons, like the cap's really looking good. Yeah. And yeah, that's something Bean's doing a really good job with, I think, is making sure to manage the cap well. Yeah. And so when it comes to hearing someone say, oh, there might be this contract or that, like I really look at the contract and it looks like a bad contract. I have no proof that Bean would do that. Yeah. At this point, Bean has seemed to be a very smart guy when it comes to salary cap issues and contracts. So even, you know, how many one-year contracts were there? Like this whole, we have 20 free agents. Right? It was set up this way basically. Yeah. So
they kind of rented their players for a year and went by that. The other thing too is how do you win in the NFL? Yeah. You need quarterback, need defense. Yep. But how do you sustain winning? You draft good. Yep. You re-sign your players. Yep. And you make smart decisions in free agency. Yep. And I think that's what we're going to get with Bean. Mm-hmm. I think we tried to make some wild moves with Whaley and try to get over the hump and just real quick get it done. Yeah. And it didn't work out, and it prolonged us and pushed us back here a couple of years, and now we're starting to get that shift into a different thinking here.
Yeah. So it's exciting. It's really exciting. We do have some other tight ends on the roster that we could go down real quick. Jason Kroom is on our roster. He's this is going to be his second year, I guess, right?
Out of Tennessee.
So I don't know much about him. I don't know if you have any.
Practice squad guy. Yeah. I don't think he was active anytime. What is it?
Kyrie Lee.
Kyrie Lee was active a couple games this year, so he was a little above him. Mm-hmm. Kroom was on and off the roster, I think, a couple times that they signed him when Clay would be injured or something like that to bring another guy up. Sure. And then they release him and sign him back and forth.
And then we have Keith Talbridge is our, I think, a practice guy, right?
Yeah, he was on injured reserve this year, so he didn't do anything. Okay. We'll see where that goes, but he'll most likely be a practice squad.
Yeah. Again, we both feel tight end very safe, very comfortable with our tight ends at this point.
I like the top three if you look at it. Clay, O'Leary, and
Logan Thomas. So now we'll move to our wide receiver position, which some of you watching will actually think that's a place we have to work out. And I've seen mock drafts that say, hey, one of our draft needs is wide receiver. I don't agree with that. Not even a little bit. I think our wide receiver, compared to a lot of other holes we have, and it's not as set as, let's say, the tight end position, but compared to the other holes we have, I think we're pretty much set at wide receiver as well. At least for this year.
I don't see any receiver in the draft trading or drafting any of those guys. Yeah. I don't see any of it benefiting us. Right. Yes, we could use speed. We don't have a speed guy. Right. I understand that. But if we get the timing down, all these receivers, their numbers going to look better. Right. And as we list them, Kelvin Benjamin, timing, big body, throw the ball up to him. He isn't going to get yards of separation. You have to hit him in stride. You have to hit the timing routes with him. And it'll be amazing if you see what happens when he gets a pocket pass or somebody that can throw the ball.
Yeah, I think Tyrod's issue with Benjamin is he was used to Sammy Watkins getting that separation, right? With Benjamin, he's more of a throw me a 50-50 ball, I'm coming down with it 70% of the time, you know what I mean? And Tyrod, like you said, he can't throw into that tight window. He doesn't know how to throw that perfect pass where one guy can go get it. And that's kind of Benjamin's strength. And so if we get a nice pocket passer or someone like that who can throw that ball, that might work out really well. And like you say, he's not going to get separation, but he's a really good wide receiver.
Yeah. Plus, he's 6'5", 6'6". Yeah. He's like 245. Yeah. Sammy, I believe, was like 6'2" or something like that. Like, Benjamin's just a big dude. Yes. And that's why he can win those type.
Yeah, and with him, people will look at stats this year. Well, he had that meniscus tear. He was never fully healthy as a Bill. So hopefully this year he'll be fully healthy, and we'll see much better numbers as long as we get that pocket passer.
It's just easier to see. Now, he didn't really have a lot of time to work with Tyrod. Right. But look at his numbers, what he did with Cam Newton. Yeah. Cam Newton can win from the pocket, and he also can win outside the pocket. Yeah. He can throw the ball. So.
Right. It's not just you need necessarily a pocket passer. Just need someone to know Benjamin's strengths. Yeah. And that if you're going to throw Tyrod a bonus, while it was a mid-season trade. Yeah. So they'll have time this offseason if we keep Tyrod to work it out.
He did have a whole new receiving core this year. Yeah. So you're going into that again. But I think the receiving core stays about the same.
Yeah. So our second wide receiver, probably Zay Jones at this point would be our number 2 guy. Yeah. Who had I coming out of college, I really loved Zay Jones. That pick when we picked Zay Jones in the second round, I thought we got a great player, got a steal basically, and I still feel that way. I mean, he had a rough first year.
Yeah.
But to me, it's really hard as a rookie to come in to a whole new receiving class. You know what I mean? Like, again, there was no real veteran guy who's been with Buffalo that was there and could be like, okay, here's the ropes, kid. I mean, there was a time when Jordan Matthews got hurt where it looked like Zay Jones might be the number 1, and Zay Jones was never meant to be a number 1 wide receiver.
They had Bolden there a little bit to kind of groom him, and then Bolden wanted to do something else. So, more power to him.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think he had faith in Buffalo. I think once Sammy got traded, then he was kind of like, okay, maybe they are, tanking like everybody's saying, but it just didn't work out that way.
Right.
Zay Jones, I love the kid. Actually, the first time I really saw him was at the Senior Bowl, and he just lit it up. Like I remember watching all the practices and the game, he was just like crazy. So I went and did more research on him. And I was like, 399 catches, like he's crazy good. Like he's athletic, but he is a slot guy.
Yes.
I don't think he's a number 1 type guy.
Right.
And I kind of connected the dots too because they signed his former wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling we were going to get him, and I knew he'd be like a second round pick. We traded up and we got him with the 37th overall pick. But I like Zay Jones. And another stat that I saw the other day was 55% of the passes thrown to him were not catchable.
I thought I saw like that too.
Yeah. So his numbers were down, but you also have to remember a lot of the passes towards him were not catchable.
Yeah.
He started to break out the Jets game.
Yep.
And he did a double move, I believe, on Buster Screen and was going to have a touchdown. Tyrod threw the ball to him, and Buster Screen, tripped him.
Yeah.
He fell down and it looked like he bumped his knee a little bit, so he got a little injured. But after that game, and then because he did have a rough patch before that.
He did.
That game he started to break out, and then he slowed up a little bit too after that. The Kansas City game, he played good.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Chiefs game, I remember him having that one really great touchdown where he came the whole way across to the end zone for Tyrod to find him. So
he did have a torn labrum.
Yeah.
So, take it out. You have to lift your arm to catch the ball.
So
we'll see. I mean, we still don't have a verdict on him.
Yeah.
I believe he's going to be good.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but...
And that's kind of nice to see, too. And some people don't take that into consideration. Like, he didn't really complain about that the whole season.
No, I don't even think he was on an injury report.
Exactly. Like he played through that, and you didn't hear anything about it until the end of the season, where it was like, oh, he needs surgery for this. Yeah. Oh, that happened. So it was kind of nice to see, like, a tougher guy, too. He's our slot guy. We do have Jordan Matthews, who's a free agent. I think we talked about in the last episode, neither one of us think that he will be re-signed.
I just think the money's going to be too
high.
Yeah,
the money's going to be a little rough.
For another slot receiver, that's where he's best positioned at. And when I say slot receiver, it's not a slight on him. It's just where they are best at.
Right.
Like they can play outside, but they are better at playing from the slot, finding openings, and everything like that. But so that's why I think him and Zay Jones are too similar.
To keep both of them.
Yeah. Right. Zay Jones is a younger guy. They don't have to pay him near as much. He's on his rookie
contract still. So I always found that amusing. Like I remember when Anquan Bolden wanted out of Arizona to be a number 1. I was a little confused because you're number 1, number 2. You're on the field the whole game pretty much, right? Like what's the difference? And same thing with like the slot guy. In today's NFL, you're pretty much running at least a 3 wide receiver set every single time. And I would love to be a slot guy to face the linebackers all the time, or a safety. That's a lot easier than going up to the corner. But it's not a knock to call someone a slot guy. That's just where you're best at.
Yeah.
Jordan Matthews is a pretty decent wide receiver, and to see him go is a little upsetting because I do like him, but at the same time, like you said, him and Zay Jones to me too similar. And we're keeping one, we're keeping Zay. But that then moves us to who is going to be our other outside guy, and I think you and I both like Deontay Thompson as our speed guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the receiving free agents, I really don't see any where that we make improvement on that position. Drafting wise, I don't really love any of the receivers.
No.
So I'd like to see Deontay Thompson come back He was a little banged up too. I think he had a shoulder injury too most of the season, but he gives us a little bit of speed, and he played well for us as a number 2 guy. And when we got our best passing games, it was with him as being the number 2. So.
Yeah. And he's always played good special teams as well.
Yeah.
You know, he's been in the special teams a little bit, and he's a good special teams guy.
He can return kicks, a little bit of versatile. So.
Going down, speaking of return kicks, I know this is a guy that you really like, who's also a free agent, but we got Ben Tate. You know, he's a free agent.
Brandon Tate.
I'm sorry, Brandon Tate. Yeah, I was like, that's not right, Brandon Tate. But anyway, Brandon Tate, who is a free agent, but he would sign for a really low number, as we talked about before. Good number 4 wide receiver. And he's solid, you know. Yeah. I'm not sold. His kickoff return average was like maybe, I think it was 19.5, so 20 yards, I'd say.
Well, and usually when he's getting a chance to return kicks, they're shorter and higher, so it gives him more of a time to get down. The hang time's longer. But
exactly. Yeah, I didn't look it up. It'd be interesting to see like how many kicks he took out the end zone this year and see how he did there. But you're right. Now that the kickoff line's moved up 5 yards, it's more of like a pooch kick, so defense can get down there faster. So
I love his return ability.
Yeah,
I think he brings a spark there, and I think he stays and it's like your 4th, 5th receiver because you can use him out of slot or you know, even out wide. He is a smaller guy.
And he's had some big catches for the Bills as well this past season.
And for especially not playing much.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't get a lot of opportunities on offense, but when he does, he makes a play here and there. And it's nice to have that.
Yep. And like you said, with a pocket passer, it'd be amazing to see how those stats improve compared to
when you have a pass-first quarterback.
Right.
And you know, Buffalo's always going to be a run-first offense.
Absolutely.
Because of the
McCoy.
Yeah. Well, and because of the weather. When you get into December, just like the Indy game, you can't really throw. So you gotta focus on that. I would love to have an offense like the Saints have, where they're putting up all kinds of crazy numbers. Same thing in Green Bay, where you have Aaron Rodgers, but then again, look at their quarterbacks: Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. So
and with your first example, not so much with Green Bay, but they have that nice little dome that they're playing 70 degrees every week. So that changes things a little bit. Going down from some of our other receivers, we got Quinn Bray from Auburn. So I don't know much about him. I think they signed him to a future deal, so he's on the roster.
Okay.
You got Jeremy Butler.
He's a free agent.
But free agent.
So he was injured last year. I believe he was out at the beginning of the year with concussions, and I think he's also a free agent. I think he's gone.
Yeah.
He was kind of a friend of Tyrod, so maybe when they were looking to upgrade their receiver position, they gave him a shot to see what he was. Yeah. And didn't really do much. Yeah. Ended up on IR. He'll be a free agent. He'll probably be gone.
Yeah, and then the next guy on our list is someone who I actually think is a little underrated, who I think we could utilize more, is Malachi Dupree. I think that guy's got some speed. I really do. But we'll see. We didn't use him much this year, so.
Yeah, he was drafted by Green Bay.
Yeah.
Signed with us after he got cut there.
Right.
Didn't really, I don't think he played, I don't know if he was even active for any of the games this past year.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, we'll see. But that actually brings me to another point, to someone talking about Deontay Thompson. Didn't we sign him midway through the year, right? We didn't even have a full year with him, and he was still able to produce the way he did. So I don't know. That's
we had him a couple years ago, and then he got injured. We had to cut him, and he went to Chicago this past year. And actually, I was stunned when Chicago dropped him.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because he had a good preseason, and I was just like, okay, we got him.
Especially with a young receiver, or a young quarterback. I mean, you want the veteran guys. But yeah, so next guy on the list is Andre Holmes. Yeah, that's my
he's just a big receiver. Yeah, he's a big receiver, and I think now that they have Benjamin, I think Andre Holmes expendable.
Yep.
Thought that they would kind of cut him last year to get a compensatory pick. They needed to release like 3 other guys.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. And Holmes played certain parts where he was a special teams guy, and every once in a while on the goal line he would come in because he was a better receiver. But that kind of, when they got Benjamin, that's what
they took that away. Yeah, there's no need for that anymore. Then we're looking down. We got Brandon Riley.
Yeah, he was a rookie out of Nebraska. He was on the practice squad for most of the year. Trying to think. When Matthews got injured they brought him up, but he wasn't active for any games.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah. So
everybody liked him in the preseason. He did show flashes, but we'll see. I mean, overall, you kind of look at the receivers. You have Benjamin, Zay Jones. I think Tate, Thompson. If you resign him, that's your starting 5. You can throw in or starting 4.
Right.
You can throw in another guy out of all these guys that we named,
Sure.
and that'd probably be your receiving core for the year.
Yeah, and that's another thing about having a receiving tight end like Charles Clay. He's basically your 5 there, and we've seen Charles Clay go out in the wide receiver position and play that position as well. So yeah, we probably most teams keep somewhere between 5 or 6 wide receivers on their team. We're probably looking close to that 5 number.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably gonna be your 5 guys there. So, but we'll see. We know that some people again say that we need a wide receiver. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like a receiving core.
Yeah.
I think they'll be better this year.
Right.
Hopefully all be healthy.
Yep.
Hopefully we have a very good quarterback.
Yeah, either because we have a pocket passer or because Tyrod simply had more time to get used to them and get practice with them, be in preseason with them, get that continuity. So either way, we're looking at a wide receiving core and saying it should be better this year than last year. At least let's hope. Yeah. So now moving to the inside, let's talk about where games are won and lost on the line. So our offensive line, we'll start with the center because we don't have one. I mean, well, kind of. We actually kind of do, but yeah. So Wood is again forced to retire, which is not official until March 14th. But we know due to his end of the season physical, we know that he's going to have to retire. So.
And I think a lot of that is to do with the contract of where to push the money because they already rolled over their money from last year, so they can't just cut them loose this year.
Right.
And I hope this isn't the case. I hope they're not fighting trying to get money back. But
it's not big.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's more or less that they're just trying to roll that cap hit into this year instead of because they can't do anything last year.
And so 2 years ago when he got hurt, we had, I believe, Ryan Groy, take some snaps in center, and he didn't do a bad job at all.
He filled in nicely.
Yeah, he filled nicely, and he's still on our roster. So he could definitely be our center. But I don't know. There are a couple really good centers in this draft class.
Yeah.
However, and we'll talk all about this more in our draft episode. But if you trade up to get a quarterback, you obviously don't have the picks to get those guys. So it's very interesting to see. But yeah, we have Groy on our roster still, and he's technically a left guard.
Yeah, he bounces back and forth. They kind of use him as a versatile, like with a guard or center, whatever needed. He did play some guard. He came in for like the extra lineman packages.
Yeah.
So he would do that, but he's most likely going to be our starting center. 2 years ago, they tenured him, and they had a chance he was going to sign with I believe it was the Rams at the time, or Rams or Chargers, I can't remember. But the Bills did match that tenure, so that's why they got him back. Because they didn't give up a second-round draft pick, I believe, for him at the time. But I think he's going to be our starting center this year. And then if they want to draft a guy or sign a guy to develop behind him,
you could easily sign a free agent. As well.
I mean, his cap hit isn't huge this year, so maybe even if you want to sign like Ryan Jansen from Baltimore, is probably the top center that's going to be out there. If they want to sign him, bring him in, then you keep Roy as the backup and a swing guard, or maybe he fills in at guard position because Dukas and Miller are kind of a little iffy there. Everybody knows Incognito. He's going to be there this year as a starting left guard.
But his contract's running up too, right?
Yeah, this is his last year of his deal. So. The other thing too is if they want to get rid of Incognito because he's like a $7 million cap hit this year. Yeah. But if they release him, it would only eat up $1 million of dead money. So if they want to get more under the cap, they could possibly do that. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that's a possibility.
That's I really, getting Incognito from Miami, I think worked out really well for us. Yeah. I mean, he's been a great player, a great pickup. We know that there were rumors about things that he said during the Jaguar game, but I really liked, I think it was Stephen Dawkins stepping up and saying, if you would have said that, I would have done something about it. Like, so it's just, I think he's been a really good player overall for us. Yeah.
He kind of changed the attitude of that offensive line a little bit too, because he's a mauler. Yep. And, last year the offensive line didn't do as well as we thought they were going to do, but they switched to a zone blocking scheme. Right. It's different. This offensive line is built for power run.
Yeah.
So when you saw Roman there and Anthony Lynn under Rex, why they piled up so much rushing yards? Because they were maximized with the power running. Now I believe they're going to go back to that. So it's going to help the running game. These offensive linemen are going to look at, and they're going to look better this year. When you're looking at the guards, you have Dukas would be your right guard. He started this year. And the other right guard would be John Miller.
Right.
I like John Miller in 16. This past year, he was injured. He started out the year being the starter. For some reason, he just didn't get it this year. I don't know if, I believe it was because it was the
change of scheme. Right.
He's more of a power guy. So look for John Miller. I know he's been one of those guys that they say we could trade. But I think he can really step up this year being back in a powered scheme. So we'll see, because there'll be a battle again between him and Dukas, I believe. And Ryan Groy, depending on if he's going to be our center or if he's going to be our guard, depending on what they do free agency wise or draft, if they want to bring another guy in to play center.
But it's really nice to have that versatile guy, though. You know, someone who can do multiple positions on the line. It's really nice to have that. And
especially with the only being able to activate 47 of your 53. So usually you activate your 5 linemen and then 2 guys as reserve. It's usually a swing tackle and a guy who can play either center or guard.
Going down the list, I talked a little bit before about talking about our guards still. We're talking about John Miller, who you said already. Adam Redmond, I'm not sure.
Signed him as a future deal. I mean, just fill out the roster.
And DeAndre Wesley.
Just
the
future
same
guy,
thing. Future guy. Okay.
Give it a flyer, see what happens.
So for this year, depending on what we do with our center, but our guards, I think, are looking pretty good. I mean, depending if we can trade Incognito, but I don't want to. I think he's done great for us. So
Incognito, this could be his last year. He is getting older. I think he's going to be at 35, 34, 35. Incognito is going to start at left guard. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe John Miller starts at right guard. Groy will be our center. Unless we can get Jensen, but I believe that's going to be the starting 3 in the middle.
Now we're going to our tackles, so we'll move on to our tackles. And Deion Dawkins, man, Deion Dawkins, what a great draft pick he was, I thought. He did really well when he came in, so I was really happy with him. So if you want to talk about him to start things off, or
with the way Deion Dawkins played, which was a surprise to me. I mean, you draft him, and okay, you're a little worried because you have a starting left tackle that is a rookie. And whether you like it or not, Cordy Glenn did play good for us at left tackle when healthy. Last year and this year was just, he just couldn't stay healthy. He's had foot problems, but he has been really good for us. But now that Dawkins played the way he has, I believe we move on from Cordy Glenn because the cap number's huge. He isn't going to start. Unless they decide that maybe it's better to get rid of Incognito and slide Cordy Glenn into left guard. That's a possibility because he did play that in college. He did play center in college. That's also another possibility. And when he first came out, everybody was saying he was a guard. He was no tackle. And that's Buddy Nix kind of started that rumor. So that's why we got him in the second round. So if you're looking at tackles, it kind of intrigues me. Deion Dawkins, I think, is the starting left tackle.
I don't disagree. But what we do with Cordy Glenn then is very interesting. That's kind of where our tackles are right now. Is where's Cordy Glenn at? So
because now that you can kind of move him through any position, maybe that does save him. He does have a huge cap number.
He does.
That's the only problem. He has a $14 million cap number. And maybe they just want to kind of move on from that for other year. Other years down the road here, but it's something that's a possibility. You're looking at our other tackles, Centrell Henderson out of Miami. To me, he is a better left tackle than a right tackle. When he had his good times, it was under Marone, he was at left tackle. But he's not going to unseat Deion Dawkins. He was mostly used as a swing tackle this year. He was that extra guy that was activated in case they needed for injury or something like that. But every time he was placed at right tackle, and he did play good. He's a free agent, like I said. I could see them kind of bringing him back to be a swing tackle.
Sure. And like you said, I mean, when you talk about such a few number of players that you can bring on Sunday, it's nice to have that swing guy who can play multiple positions. Because, I mean, if you watch a football game, you know offensive tackles, they get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
And so they're coming in and out a lot. So, it's nice to have that swing guy. Yeah. So you look down, you got Josh James.
He signed a future deal.
Yeah, signed for a future deal. Last year was his first year. Connor McDermott.
He was active most of the time this year. He was, because Henderson was suspended for a little bit with the marijuana and stuff like that. So maybe that's why we move on from him and we just keep McDermott. And then Jordan Mills was their starting right tackle.
Yeah, I want to see more from Jordan Mills. I don't know why I wasn't too sold on him this past season.
He's hot and cold.
Yeah.
I like him at times, and then I can't stand him at times. So, but when you look at our offensive line in general, after this year, this is what you kind of got to look at too.
Yeah.
After this year, we have 3 guys under contract.
Right.
It's Deion Dawkins, it's Cordy Glenn, and it's Connor McDermott.
Right.
So think about it. That's all 3 of their tackles.
Yeah.
The rest of the guys, and technically we have Eric Wood under contract, but he's
retired.
Yeah, he's going to be retired.
Right.
So if you take that away, other than that, everybody else the following year is going to be a free agent. So that's going to be a remake
the line
in progress next year.
Sure.
Maybe they try to get a little younger and groom a guy, or if they bring somebody in for free agency, they sign him, that'll help out. Or, you know, Ryan Roy, if he's going to be our center, maybe they try to extend him through the year, that'll help out later on.
Right, yeah.
So it's not saying that those will be the only 3 that are under contract after next year.
But right now.
But as of now, when you're looking at that, so it is a position of need.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. So we're looking at offensive tackle, offensive guard. The offensive line, like you said, it's going to be completely reshifted. I think in the next 2 years, it's going to look a lot different than it does now. Other than like your mainstay guys, Dawkins will be there.
Yeah.
I don't think Incognito will be back. And it depends to see what we do with Roy as far as center, and then Glenn, I think will be gone. Actually, I don't disagree. I mean, even if it's not something that we package to get up in the first round, I can still see us moving Glenn at some point. Now, do I believe that some Bills fans think Cordy Glenn's worth more than he is? Yes, absolutely. I think if you package him in a deal with the Giants, like is rumored, there would have to be a lot more given up than just Cordy Glenn. But does he still have value? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, unfortunately this past year he's been hurt, but in the past he has been dominant. So we'll see what happens there.
Now the other thing too is if you're looking at the draft, and I wish we kind of would have done the offensive draft or a preview a week or 2 ago, because I was kind of thinking this, and you don't say it till everybody else, so then everybody's following around. But you're looking at Cleveland with Joe Thomas might not be coming back.
Right. Yeah.
That's left tackle.
Right.
You look at the Giants; they need help on the offensive line.
Absolutely.
The Colts need offensive help on the line, because think about it, you're getting Andrew Luck back, and if you're just going to let him get beat up again after that shoulder surgery, missing out on the year, and all his problems, you want to protect him. That's your main guy. You want to protect him. Number 4 is Cleveland again. Number 5 is Denver. They need help on the offensive line. Number 6 is the Jets. We ain't trading anybody to the Jets, unless we're getting an arm and a leg.
Right.
But those top 5 guys, all those teams, they need offensive help. That's why I believe that both number 1s, Cordy Glenn, are gone. And I also believe that Tyrod Taylor will be traded, and it'll surprise you, they'll get a 5th or 6th round pick. And that will either help them move up.
Use that to move up.
Or that'll just be to replenish some of their draft stock, because they'll use a later round pick
to move up. So, and we do, the one benefit that we have is we have the draft stock, right, to move up. We have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 fifths. I mean, these are big advantages, and we need to use them to that advantage to say, hey, here we go.
We do have the 2 twos.
Yeah, we do have the 2 twos. Yeah,
we did have a second, 3rd round pick, but that was traded for Benjamin, which I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Benjamin's going to be a huge plus for us coming up here. So last week with our defensive video, we ranked the positions of need.
Yep.
So why don't we try to do that this week? We got our offense. Where do you see our biggest need right now?
Well, I'm going to go quarterback.
Surprise.
I've said that probably the whole time that we've done these
Yeah,
videos,
yeah.
that if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to
Right.
win. So I want to say that because there's so many good quarterbacks in this draft, I feel like we have to get our quarterback.
Yes.
And that will set us up for the next 4 to 5 years, because we'll have our quarterback under a rookie contract. Or defense, I really like where our defense is at. And, you know, each year stuff will change, but
Sure.
we have the building blocks for a defense.
Sure.
So that'll help out. I go quarterback number 1.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at number 2, I'd like to get a young running back behind McCoy
Okay.
to set us up long term.
Sure.
The next one I would probably go to would be the offensive line.
Yeah, I think you and I are switched on line and running back. I mean, McCoy is our stable, right? Like, he's our running horse. Like, that's fine.
Don't get me wrong, because McCoy is our best player.
Yeah.
I just want to get somebody young behind him to spell him, so we're not having a player like Mike Tolbert behind him.
And the issue with, everyone knows the stat of running backs once they turn 30, right? Yeah. And I don't disagree that McCoy will still be productive in his 30s. However, one injury, and all of a sudden everything changes. You know?
And when he's so much, basically last year he was our offense.
Right, exactly.
Now that could change if we get a quarterback, but when you're keen on that one guy, it's nice to, if something, God forbid, were to happen, it'd be nice to be able to just roll somebody else in, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, could you have imagined this year McCoy going out, right? And then all of a sudden we have Tolbert and Cadet would have been there for most of the year, but that would have been our offense completely gone. Our offense was terrible as is, but just think about that.
With McCoy, he had to play on a hobbled leg.
Yeah.
And look what he did against Jackson.
Right, exactly. Jacksonville, great defense.
You know, sometimes I kind of see like McCoy, and I think he sells stuff a little more. Yes. But he's a heck of a player.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of everything McCoy does, especially off the field. You know, he got in trouble the first year he came here. He got in trouble in Philly for that bar fight, right? He talks a lot. He talked about Le'Veon Bell holding out, and sometimes I wish he would just keep his mouth shut. The way he holds the ball on the field sometimes like this gets you a little worried, but he only had, I think, 2 fumbles, one of which the Bills recovered. So he only had 1 lost fumble this year. Again, in the Tampa Bay game. So watch that again. That's fun. So I really like McCoy. Quarterback number 1, right? Without a good quarterback, we're not going to get any further than we did this season. This season we needed a crazy play in another game just for us to get in the playoffs. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not the first team that's ever needed help to get in the playoffs. And we've seen 6 seeds ride that wave of momentum into the Super Bowl. You're not going to do that with Tyrod Taylor. You look at the 6 seeds that have done it. You look at the Giants. Eli Manning played out of his mind in those playoff appearances to make it to the Super Bowl. You look at the Ravens, I believe, as a 6 seed with Joe Flacco. You know, you say what you want about Joe Flacco now, but back then Joe Flacco was a really good quarterback at times. You know. And we're just never going to get that. We've seen, I believe as Steve has said before, we've seen the best we're going to get from Tyrod Taylor.
The thing with Flacco is he was lights out that year. Yeah. And they won the Super Bowl, and he got his contract, and then he went downhill. So I don't really like Joe Flacco. Right. And I hate when you have to pay a quarterback so much money because it robs the rest of your team. And that's what kind of happened with Baltimore. He was on such a good defensive team. Now they're older defensively. Right. He took so much of the cap money. Yep. And it hurts your team when you get a quarterback like that.
It really does.
But if you're going to win, you have to have a quarterback.
So it's the catch-22 thing. Like, what do you do? Like, I think about the Garoppolo. How is he worth that much money? You know, like, to me, that's insane.
And this is another thing that we kind of skipped over when we went to the receiving corps. Yeah. So everybody says about how Tyrod has nobody to help him. Right. Garoppolo had Marcus Goodwin, former Bill, who didn't do anything for us.
And he was there with Tyrod.
Yeah, he was there with Tyrod. Yeah. So he didn't really do much. He had Pierre Garçon, which his better days are past him, still a solid receiver, but
possession receiver at this point. But yeah.
Other than that, name me another receiver that they had.
Yep. Yeah, I can't.
White guy Taylor. I can't even think of his first name. I'm being serious with you.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything.
I agree. Yeah.
So you look at Carolina with Cam Newton.
Funchess now with Benjamin gone.
Yeah, they traded away his best receiver midway through the year to Buffalo.
Yep.
They have Funchess. Chris Samuel.
Yep.
Who he got hurt.
Yep.
Trying to think of the other receivers.
But yeah,
I saw. But there's no one.
Yeah. You get Steve's point at this point. Like, you can't just say, oh, you have no receivers. I mean, how many times have we said even Tom Brady has made people like Deion Branch Super Bowl MVPs because, and it's Deion Branch. He's not that good, but he's fine. And
look what happened when Branch went to Seattle.
Right? Exactly. He didn't do anything. So
same thing. Kirk Cousins in Washington.
Yep.
They had Pryor was this huge signing and free agent. He didn't do anything this year. He had Dotson, but he's hurt here and there. He shows flashes of being great.
Everyone was worried about how Cousins would look with Jackson and Garcon both being given away, basically now gone. But if you look at Cousins' numbers last year, he still did good, and that's impressive.
Cousins 1 year is better than Tyrod in 2 years.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, it's really shocking.
Right.
Like when you go back through and you look at Tyrod's numbers, and he's averaging 2,500 yards passing. Now he does get 500-600 yards rushing a year.
Sure.
But you're looking at a total of 3,000 yards, and you have guys throwing for more than that in 12 games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, I looked at Carson Wentz had more passing yards this year than Tyrod Taylor, and he only played 12, 13 games. Yeah. Carson Palmer was either above him or like right below him, and Carson Palmer only played I think like half the season, right? Yeah. So it's just
and then everybody would go back to he doesn't turn the ball over and he doesn't have anybody around him, but good for them.
Yeah.
Just watch the games and
I mean
you're entitled to your opinion, and
he's not the only quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over much.
No.
Brady doesn't turn the ball over much. Garoppolo didn't turn the ball over much. Nope. Breeze didn't turn the ball over much. Now that he has a run game to go with him, so you could say, hey, he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't throw for 3,000 yards either. So
and the thing too is everybody's like, well, a good game out of Tyrod Taylor is 180 yards. Well, a good game out of a starting NFL quarterback is 180 yards in the first half.
Right.
Everybody's throwing for right around 300 yards every game.
Exactly.
So when you're saying, well, if we get 180 yards out of them, that's good. No, it's not good.
It's good for Tyrod, but that's not good for the Bills.
It's not good to help us win.
So I'm going to go QB number 1. I'll go offensive line help number 2. And running back 3, so we're going to switch those up a little bit. Wide receiver 4, and it's probably those 3, and then a huge drop off, and then wide receiver 4, and then tight end 5.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be set with those 2 down there.
Yeah.
Where they are 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And the reason I would put receiver above tight end is because we don't have a speed guy.
Right.
And a name I kind of skipped over for like when we went through the receivers was I forgot about John Brown.
Yeah.
Being a free agent. That could be a speed guy. I know there was talk about maybe trading for him.
Sure.
But he was banged up last year too, so maybe we can get him. I don't know. Also, too, who knows if he'll sign back with Arizona, what kind of money he'll want.
We'll see. But so we'll see. But so overall, as far as the draft needs go looking forward, I think you would say probably QB's number 1.
Yeah, that's my number 1 priority.
See, it's really hard to rank them for me because if we trade up, obviously we know where we're going.
Yeah.
Right? I've said this plenty of times. Like if we trade into top 10, there's a reason for it. But I don't want to get into it too much because I know our draft show is coming up. Mock draft show is coming up soon. But my QB board looks a little bit different than a lot.
Okay.
Like I'm not a huge fan of some of the quarterbacks I'm not a huge Sam Darnold fan.
Yeah, I'm
not sold on him. I do like a couple, but there's a couple other guys that I look at, and Lamar Jackson might be there later in the round. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, which makes it look really bad since I say I like him a lot. But the guy from Richmond had a really good senior bowl. Loletta or whatever. I really like him, and so these are guys that in this coming week at the combine I'm really going to be looking at. So, but we'll see. Yeah. But I would put probably QB number 1. overall. This is our overall QB number 1. I would definitely put defensive tackle at number 2.
Okay.
I think that's where we need a lot of help at defensive tackle, especially again if Kyle Williams retires. And that is also a thing that, like, obviously I would think linebacker would be up there if we don't get Preston Brown back, right? Yeah. But with Preston Brown, I'm moving down to probably 2.
Now that you say that, I wanted to say, because I did see a report that him and the Bills have had talks.
Yes.
So just throwing that in there. So
we're hoping.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. At least they're talking. I heard they were close. I heard they were close. So I'm hoping that those reports are true. I don't know how much you can believe reports or not, but we'll see. We'll see. But going down the list, so I got QB 1, defensive tackle 2, linebacker will be 3. Especially if Brown doesn't sign, I'll put them at 2 actually probably. Offensive line would probably be 4 for me.
Okay.
Followed by running back, and then you can put a whole back end of our defense and our tight end wide receiver down at the bottom. It doesn't really matter the order for me. I don't think we need any help other than maybe probably corner would probably be number 5 or 6, whichever one's the top of those 4, because we need that second corner guy. But again, we might get EJ Gaines back, and if that's the case, then we'll be okay.
I was kind of happy when I saw the Peters trade, because then that gives Jermaine Johnson out to free agency, and it bumps Gaines back a little bit.
Yep.
So it might help us. It might not. Hey,
so
it's worth a shot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you're talking Monte Davis possibly. You're talking Gaines possibly. I mean, and we can go the free agent route. Even if we do trade a boatload of stuff to get a top 10 pick, we'll still have other picks. Yeah. So
the other thing too is we could not trade up into the top 10. We could kind of do like what Philly did with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
They traded up, got into like number 8, and then they took out and took it into number 2.
So we'll see. But it'll be interesting. That's all I have for the offensive side of the ball. So thank you for joining us. I don't know if you had anything you want to add before you.
No, I think we're pretty good.
All right. Well, again, thank you for joining us. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like or dislike the video. We don't care. We'll take criticism, right? Like, whatever. And then leave some comments, and we'll be happy to talk to you. Until then, see you next time.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.